Hey guys, welcome back to Fandom Sage Powers, where we discuss comics, comic heroes, and a little of this, a little of that. We are in part 9 of our X of Swords review, and we are on our way back to Otherworld. Once upon a time, there was a mutant who became a hero to a people who were not her own. She had hardly settled into her own skin before it was dressed in the colors of a nation. To be a hero is not a blessing, nor is it a curse. It is a clarity of perspective, and in that, it can be lonely. To be everything to everyone is to be very little to yourself. And we see that we are looking at the Starlight Citadel, and two figures are flying on Griffin towards the Citadel, and it appears to be King Jaime Braddock and also Brian Braddock, the former Captain Britain. Betsy Braddock, the current Captain Britain, is waiting for them at the Starlight Citadel, and she looks up as Brian says, "Captain Britain welcomes us to the Starlight Citadel." She just says, "All right, come on in and land," seemingly a little annoyed. When Jaime and Brian land, Jaime says, "Are you cross because your brothers didn't bring you a griffin?" "I'm not cross. I'm busy," says Betsy. "If you're through faffing about, there are few nations at stake, yours and mine." Brian Braddock says, "Come here, serious girl. Let me have one good hug before everything goes pear-shaped." "What is that on your hip?" says Betsy. "I brought it for you." "Well, I don't want it. Take it to Krakoa, stick it in the sigil." Brian says, "The Sword of Might was named in the prophecy, Betsy, as were we. One of us has to wield it. It's all yours then," says Betsy. "For heaven's sake. Can we talk about it?" says Brian. "No need. I'll keep the amulet. My sword suits me fine," says Betsy. "Call me when you need a mutant to walk through the gate." And she storms off. "Betsy, I came here to thank you, not to fight you. Do you even hear yourself? Thank me as if this whole Captain Britain thing was simply a favor to you." "It was," said Brian. "And when I was too angry and hurt to take the amulet in my hand again, you were there for me. But I'm ready now." "You have to say it," says Betsy. "If you want it, you have to at least be able to bloody ask me for it. What is it that you want to take from me?" Captain Britain. From behind them, Opal Luna Saturnyne emerges, saying, "I sent you to greet our guests, not to belittle them. Come in, please. I've had tea prepared." "Ah, my lady Saturnyne, are we the first of the provinces to arrive?" asks Jaime. As Jaime and Saturnyne are walking ahead of Betsy and Brian, Jaime says, "Needed an extra morning to sniff my brother's pillow?" Saturnyne replies, "So it's true what they say, that the new king of Avalon is babbling mad. What a shame. I know your family well. I had hoped we could reach some sort of understanding." "You know, you can get to know me just as well," says Jaime. "I don't mind if you sniff my pillow." For a little context, Saturnyne is obsessed with Brian Braddock, like capital O obsessed. Like, it's really creepy. Like, she be on him like that. So everybody knows that she's thirsty for some Brian Braddock. Saturnyne tells Jaime, "Comport yourself, King Jaime. You are my guest, and despite Captain Britain's desire to waste our time, we are on a tight schedule." Saturnyne takes them to this garden kind of area and says, "Long have I known your illustrious family, Braddocks, and now you arrive as the royal court of the kingdom of Avalon. How things have changed. Soon this citadel will be alive with guests, and moments to pay respect to our fallen will be short in supply. So it was important to take you here now." Brian asks, "What is this place?" "This memorial garden stands in honor of our illustrious Captain Britain Corps, who we lost when a great incursion destroyed many of our multiverses." Betsy says dryly, "Pardon me, your wyness, but we have a Captain Britain Corps." She seems to ignore her, says, "Since their loss, the other world has lacked a core of true protectors." Brian asks, "What do we do?" "They are heretical and will be dealt with accordingly." And for more context, the Captain Britain Corps, in every universe, there is a Captain Britain. And most of the time, ideally, it would be Brian Braddock in every universe. In some universes, he died or something happened. So they have had other people be Captain Britain in other universes with varying degrees of success. These Captain Britain that have been formed are kind of like a ragtag group. They were actually created by Jaime Braddock as a way to help his sister. It just all went crazy, of course, and the reality was destroyed, including Betsy, and her amulet was shared amongst her 4 companions, which were Jubilee, Rogue, Gambit, and Richter of a different universe. They are kind of rough. So Saturnyne does not like that. She doesn't like Betsy either as Captain Britain, but she puts up with it because she's in love with her brother. Betsy says heretical. They may have been generated by Jaime's stupid game, but they're still captains and they have rights. King Jaime, Jaime chimes in. Tradition dictates that Captain Britain be given the choice, the amulet or the sword. The offer is made by Merlin or Roma once, but no longer. Any captain who hasn't made the choice is unorthodox and must be declared rogue, at which point they are held until I determine them ready to be destroyed. Betsy says, that's ridiculous. I didn't have to make the choice. Saturnyne says, your words, not mine. One day we will have a war again. I have seen it. Betsy says, I've had about enough of this. We have until tomorrow. There's a whole starlight sword we haven't even begun to acquire. Saturnyne turns and says, the exit is the other way. Through the garden, if you please. Brian says, oh, for heaven's sake. Betsy storms off, and we hear Saturnyne say, my, what an unpleasant beginning to your visit, gentlemen. As Captain Britain's brothers, you must be used to this sort of outburst from her. She's been worn so thin lately, it's exhausting her. She's just not meant for this sort of work, I think. The face front type, I mean. She's always been more of a lurking in the shadows sort, right? Not inclined towards heroics. Brian has followed Betsy through the garden. Betsy catches wind of him and attacks him. He says, damn, Betsy, can you just talk to me? He uses the sheathed sword of might, but doesn't pull it. Betsy says, you left the scabbard on, but it's a start. Pick up the sword and draw it. And he says, no. Did you not see what happened when I drew it before? I don't know who that hero is or what he fights for, but I won't draw a weapon in anger for a cause I don't recognize. And I won't let England turn me against you. No one's going to make you into anything you don't want. Don't be a coward. You just want your damn job back, says Betsy. We're running out of time. What was the prophecy about the starlight sword? As above, so below. From one womb came two. It is a job, says Brian. So why do you want to be Captain Britain? Honestly, you live in another country. I never expected you to do this forever. Did you ever consider that maybe I'd want to? Pick up the sword, Brian. Not to fight you, says Brian. Betsy angrily lashes out at her brother, saying, pick it up. Have you gone bloody feral on that island? Brian says. Brother and sister scrap and fight. Brian tells her, is this how you want to settle this, like some skinny little tomboy still, scrapping in the garden? Shut your mouth, says Betsy. You have no idea what this means to me. It's an honor, not a birthright, Brian. You are owed nothing. Brian says, neither are you, Betsy, least of all this. And he knocks her back into the roses. For some context, Betsy Braddock, the sister of Brian Braddock, Captain Britain, has been in the comics for a long time, since the 70s, and she began as just a side character with low-level psychic powers. Her powers began to grow. She joined a team called Strike. She was already doing the superhero thing before she even came across the X-Men. As a matter of even subbed in as Captain Britain for her brother back in the day, until she was attacked by a character called Slave Master and blinded. She had her eyes like completely taken out of her head. Of course, Brian retook the mantle of Captain Britain. Over the next couple of years, she would get her body swapped with the Asian body, of course, we know that, and her powers kind of shifted and changed a lot from telekinesis to psychic power. She has died the same amount, if not more times, than Jean Grey. She has had more body swaps than the Shadow King. She has been brainwashed more times than Wolverine and had more failed relationships than the sum total of all her teammates. She will sleep with your man, she will sleep with your girl, she will sleep with your clone. She will stick a psychic knife into your brain. Betsy is not for play. So shortly after the start of the Dawn of X saga, she ended up going back to her ancestral home in Britain, was quickly drawn into some drama in Otherworld, and had to team up with her brother to fight Morgan Le Fay. They were victorious, but during that time, Brian completely lost control. He was filled with rage. Their brother had gotten killed. It was a whole thing. Betsy filled in as Captain Britain again for him. Now, she takes this very seriously, and she has done exceptionally well in this role, so this is where the tension is coming in. Ah, there you are. Saturnyne pops up and says, oh dear, please don't sit on the roses, Captain Britain. You really ought to know better by now. Brian, will things be cordial between you two by supper? I believe so, my lady, says Brian. We jump into the nighttime and we see the Starlight Citadel looking beautiful in the night sky, and we see someone sneaking around into somebody's bedroom, and we see that it's Jamie is asleep, and he says, "What's that? Is that you, Saturnyne?" And he looks up and says, "Come to tuck me in." But it is not Saturnyne, as somebody grabs his wrist, says, "Jamie Braddock, the Mad King of Avalon. The Captain Britain Corps sentences you to die." And we see the ragtag group of Captain Britons we spoke about. This is Rogue, Gambit, and Jubilee. And the last member is Richter. For more context, the Captain Britain Corps are basically an universal team of defenders that protect Great Britain, the other world, and pretty much all realities from threats interior and exterior. The British Isles are the place where the other world touches Earth and the veil is very thin. And this is kind of where he draws his power from. The first Captain Britain Corps was assembled by the wizard Merlin, and most of these individuals were other realities version of Brian Braddock, the son of Sir James Braddock. He was an ally of Otherworld. And with every Captain Britain legend, the story is pretty much the same. Merlin would appear offering the choice to the anointed, the Amulet of Right or the Sword of Might. The choice of the amulet is said to show purity of heart and strength of reason, these qualities that are needed to defend Otherworld. The choice of the Sword of Might is seen as a failed test, as it belies a soul tainted with anger. But you could still be Captain Britain if you pick the sword. There were only 2 times when the Captain Britain Corps would gather at the Starlight Citadel, and that was for judgment or defense. If they had one of their members that did something wrong and broke some kind of violation or oath or something, they would be judged by their peers. Defense is the thing that they failed at during the incursions. A lot of them were killed trying to keep the multiverse from unraveling and saving as many people in these separate universes and bringing them to Otherworld outside of the multiverse space-time. People could survive there. Saturnyne saved Brian Braddock of 616, our Brian Braddock, and she cast him out of the Citadel and back to the 616 universe, as the Ivory Kings rode and shattered all the other universes and Captain Britain Corps, and she took the Citadel and fortified it, her and her priestesses. So now it's kind of like she has kept Otherworld sealed off to people, pretty much. So she's an isolationist now, basically, where it used to be kind of people could come and parlay. We see Betsy in that garden, and she's in her nightgown and mad and trying to let off some steam. And it says she has fought for so long that even amongst the flowers she sought sword against stone. But to build a garden in a graveyard is to wish for something new to grow there. As she looks over at the Sword of Might, she says, she gets like a little tingle because she senses that Jamie's in trouble, and she grabs the sword up and she runs off. In the hallway, she meets Brian, who's also running towards his room. And she says, "We need to prepare for the worst." And he says he needs a weapon. And she said, "I brought this for you." And he says, "Damn it, Betsy." She claims that she doesn't need one, and she lights up her psionic blade. They make it to Jamie's room, and what they see is quite shocking. Betsy says, "Oh my God, they got out. Is this the Captain Britain Corps you mentioned?" "Real shame about that, because now I've got to kill them all," says Jamie. "They aren't even British," says Brian. "Jamie, put them down. I am already halfway prepared to make you put them down." "Oh, don't you try that on me. I'll put you up here with them. Don't think I won't." "Jamie, a thought. If I kill them, Saturnyne will probably reward me. Maybe with a whole extra province. Maybe with a kiss. Sure, I'm no Brian, but a Braddock's a Braddock. Let's say I split the difference and just kill one." And with that, Jamie kills the alternate Jubilee version of Captain Britain. The alternate Gambit and Rogue are distraught, saying, "You killed her. Death to the Mad King." And he says, "I had to even the odds, you understand." "You monumental ass, you didn't have to do that. And now they're furious," says Betsy. "Please, I prefer royal pain." So the alternate Richter, Rogue, and Gambit of Captain Britain chase the Braddock siblings through the Starlight Citadel, and they're just holding off, and Brian has refused to draw the sword. Jamie says, "Let's head to the Grand Foyer." We hear Gambit say, "I hate to hit a man in the back." A charged card flies past Brian, and he screams, "Jamie, look out!" He is able to block the card with the sword still in the scabbard, but his scabbard starts to heat up and burns him, with Betsy saying, "Don't let go." And suddenly he pulls the sword and he transforms into his captive persona. And he says, "Stand back. I draw the Sword of Might in the defense of the family Braddock and life of my brother King Jaime of Avalon. I am mine, proclaims King Jaime. All mine. I'm going to call you Captain Avalon. Then Captain Avalon I shall be. And as it has been my displeasure to cut down a Captain Britain before, I would ask it not have to happen again. These alternates are frozen in place. They do not move. And suddenly you hear, Brian. It's Opaluna Saturnyne in her silky gossamer gown. She approaches Captain Avalon and says, This is heresy. Put that ridiculous old sword of might down and take these fraudulent captains to the prison cells for me. You can only hold them if you intend to give them a trial, says Betsy. That's how the Corps used to handle it, right, Brian? At this point, Saturnyne has had enough of Betsy. I think we've seen all we need to see of Betsy Braddock. You'll get your own cell among the other rogue captains, and I'll be taking this. She starts to pull the amulet of right from off of her neck. Captain Avalon pleads with Saturnyne, and she says, If you want this when I'm done with it, you'll fall in line, Brian. Betsy is not giving up. She grabs onto the amulet and says, I don't need it. And neither does Brian. Using her telekinesis, she begins to crush the amulet. What do you think you're doing? Asks Saturnyne in a panic. The amulet of right! How dare you! I don't much buy into Apocalypse's sorcery, says Betsy, but there is one very powerful magical law I have come to rely on, and that's the power of a psychic's raw will. Without an amulet, you'll have to rely on one of us rejects. I will do no such thing, you insolent little... You have no idea what kind of mistake you've just made. But you and the rest of these counterfeits will have all night in the tenebrous cells to consider it before you die at dawn. Armed guards come and take Betsy and the other 3 alternate Captain Britons away to the cells. Saturnyne says, King Jaime, I encourage you to retire to your chambers. Brian, my dear, will you escort me to mine? So you already see she ready to get freaky. And Brian is kind of compelled to obey, being that he has drawn the sword of might, and the ruler of Avalon and Otherworld is Saturnyne. As Betsy is being escorted to her cell, she's thinking to herself, before I might have drawn a knife, twisted their minds, and sneaked away. But she has become a hero since those days, so she had to lead. And she says, okay, one last try then. I'm not sure what to do. As she sits in her cell, she reaches out telepathically. Captains, can you hear me? Please tell me you were actually put into a cell and not just tossed out of a window. She also knows whether or not she's ready. It is time. We? Gambit, you're nearby on this floor? Are the others with you? They are. I'll come to you. I'll find a way. No, don't try. Once you get out, it's a spell. Nothing but all black up and down. Rogue tried to fly out of it. It got real cold, and she got really lost. She can't get warm now. Stay put. She can't just cage you up like this. You deserve a proper trial in front of the Corps, even if that's just us. Just hurry up and come back for us, okay, Capitan? I'll do my best, Captain. Betsy gets another ping and says, what the hell? Hello, love. It's the king. Jump out of that window into the blackness for me. Jaime, get out of my head. How are you? Connection was open, patched myself in. What if I say no? Then get yourself out of there for all I care. Or die at dawn. Except if you die here, you come back all wrong, yeah? Yeah, worse than this, maybe. And with that, Betsy dives out of her cell window into the blackness. Her big brother Jaime catches her flying on the back of a griffin. Her wideness thinks I'm back in my chambers, but who could sleep at a time like this? Come on, we've got to get in there and rescue Brian. Where the hell is he? Oh, you know where he is. and in Saturnyne's chambers. Brian, there is much I brought you here to share with you, and while your ardor pleases your lady, I had planned for this to happen in the morning. But your sister played so eagerly into our hands with her little drama, trashing that silly old amulet. That's just a relic from when Merlin and Roma used them to choose their captain. Now it's only me here in the Citadel. I don't need a choice, so we don't need that amulet. Now, Captain Britain will be my knight. The Starlight Citadel itself contains the doorways to every reality. Now, you will defend the Citadel and all of reality with a blade forged from its very walls. Summoning a great amount of magical power, Saturnyne forges a mystic blade forged from the very walls of the Citadel, which is made of an unknown metal. She seductively displays herself and says, "Leave behind the sword of might, and take what is yours, Captain Britain." "My lady, I would love nothing more." And they begin to kiss, and Saturnyne drops the starlight blade, while just outside her bedroom door, Betsy and Jamie are listening and watching. "Oh, would you look at them?" "I'd rather not," says Betsy. "This is absurd. Do you think we should just really enter like this? Is that the Starlight Sword? Just sitting there?" "Looks like. Want me to pick it up and find out?" And a brief hesitation before Betsy lunges through the door, and Brian says, "Betsy, take it now." "How? I wrote those prophecies. This is my game," says Saturnyne. Betsy picks up the starlight blade and transforms once again into Captain Britain. "You were awfully confident that Brian would fall in line with you when you wrote that prophecy. But if he didn't, you have your ace in the hole, kept in the one place you would only take Brian, your bedchamber. A hero destined to brand what the earth hath swallowed, and an echo doomed to yearn for what the stars hath forsworn. You hoped it would tear us apart. Not that Brian would find his purpose in defending Jamie, and we would choose for ourselves." Saturnyne turns to Brian and says, "And you? Just another betrayer?" "I am Captain Avalon, Lady Saturnyne, humble servant to my family's kingdom, a role that means more to me now than you could ever offer me. And a married man, but one who is willing to distract you for a just cause." "Well played, then. I look forward to another round." Back on Krakoa, the Braddock twins have exited the gate, both sword bearers with their ceremonial blades. "Excellent timing back there," says Brian. "I'm not sure what Saturnyne was about to demand of me." "I have a feeling you would have suffered the humiliation of it all," says Betsy. "Betsy. But I applaud you for not succumbing to her charms. With her at the helm of these games, we have no idea what we stand to lose." The Braddock twins pierce their blades into their respective sigils, and they light up. "For Queen and country, mine and yours, mine and yours." And in that moment, the hero of the people who were not her own spoke a bardic truth. She would indeed lose more than she had planned for. Really, really cool issue. I like we get to see really how slimy and gutter Saturnyne is. Like, she's so manipulative and nasty. Don't matter that Brian is clearly still married to Megan. That's so crazy. Like, she is just so fresh. She will push up on this married man. You really just can't trust her at all. Whatever motivation she has, she's going to keep hidden into the last second. A big one is Brian Braddock. That's part of her motivation. Also, the Captain Britain Corps, which would be like her own personal fighting force that would be under her command, except Betsy is in the way. So she's in a bit of a dilemma because she don't want to actually kill the sister of the man she loves, but she's a thorn in her side. So very interesting, and she's already got her eyes on Betsy, and Captain Avalon has joined the fight, and we got our first non-mutant contestant for the Ten of Swords. So interesting stuff. What do you give the odds for Captain Britain, Betsy Braddock? What about Brian Braddock, Captain Avalon? Ooh, these are good. I don't know. It's like we haven't really seen the other side yet, but I want to say I'm gonna give them both 1 in 3 chances of coming out victorious. I want to give Captain Avalon a slight edge. I just feel like he's more battle-minded in general. Psylocke, she might hesitate. She's a little bit more calculated, like Saturnyne was saying about not being as upfront of a fighter. She was a ninja for many, many years. She still has that mentality of being stealthy. I think that might play against her. We'll see. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit the thumbs up. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video.